Ladies and gentlemen, ATDF everything in that shelf presentation. You're now rocking with TDF everything. Spoiled rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah.
It's me, Daniel.
And ban
And this is Spoiled Rotten.
on that shelf.
Boom. Did
Yes.
it. Nailed it. Let's get this is the show, obviously, where depending on the host's availability in the city, we talk about popular movies.
Yeah.
I mean-
basically geekdom stuff, anything they want.
We've missed a couple of things, admittedly.
Yeah. We have, for good reason. Dan was out of the country.
Yeah, I was not here.
I mean, he looks refreshed, relaxed. I'm pretty jealous about that. But,
Yeah.
so we got a lot of energy coming at you for this episode. So, obviously, we did miss a whole episode on Dark Phoenix, which we will cover
This
a
is kind of like a
little bit
backdoor
about.
Back
It
Phoenix
is.
review.
It is a little bit of a backdoor one. What we are doing is ranking the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Nope. We did that last time.
Ha,
We-
joking. X-Men universe.
Yeah.
We're ranking the entire X-Men universe.
So that includes the solo Wolverine and Deadpool movies.
Yes, correct.
I'm glad we had that talk because now I remember what I wanted to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Shang-Chi casting.
Oh yeah.
I am excited about this movie only because I really like watching kung fu movies, and also I like the Marvel cinematic universe. So this seems like a perfect match. Also, hopefully, it's not like Iron Fist.
Yeah.
So
that would be the problem. Shang-Chi right now, the casting rumors are either Ludi Lin, who plays
yes,
the
Black
Ranger.
He was also
just
in
in
Black
the
Mirror.
Black Mirror episode. Yeah, the
Yeah.
video game episode.
I really
with
like that
Anthony
episode.
Mackie
And Palm Clemente.
Clemente.
So
Marvel
maybe
in there.
wink, wink, wink. Maybe
Yeah.
they can put in a good word for him.
Exactly.
Or Ross Butler, who I do like.
Ross Butler. I didn't hear
Yeah,
that.
he was. I mean, he was in the first season of Riverdale, which was
Right.
fine, and then he moved to 13 Reasons Why.
Okay. Which is less good.
I
just don't like
my
the premise
opinion.
behind the movie.
My opinion
the
is I don't
series.
like that show, but I understand what people get out of it, and I can appreciate that they like it.
Yeah.
I think it is an awkward execution of
Yes.
an important idea to explore.
Yes. I also have to be objective because I have never seen an episode of it. I just don't like the premise.
Well,
of
I've
the
seen
show.
it all.
Oh, have
and
you?
I think. Sorry, I've only seen the first season.
Oh, okay.
I was like, all right, that's
Then
enough.
you've got basis to put judgment on that.
Well, yes,
I do not.
I agreed with the main concern that it seemed to glamorize the woman in who also was supposed to be in Endgame.
Yes. As teenage Morgan.
Yes, grown up Morgan. I thought that it was like this whole thing of like, so wait, the whole build up, like the big set piece is going to be watching her kill herself. Weird.
Yeah.
And they really go for it. But anyway, the point is, I understand what people appreciate about it. It didn't work for me, but it doesn't mean that it does not have its merit. Anyway,
True.
Ross Butler, Ludi Lin,
And Donnie Yen.
right, but he's like he would be a different role.
Yeah, he would
probably
I
be like
believe
a father
like some
figure,
sort of mentor or
yes.
something like that. I gotta be honest, it's hard for me to actually be excited for this movie.
Right.
I do love kung fu movies. It's just like I don't know whether or not because I always like whenever I see
You don't
Asian
really
movies,
like Donnie Yen, which I
don't think Donnie Yen's the greatest actor in
yes,
the world.
I remember this from Rogue One.
Yeah, from Rogue One as well as like from his
But
Chinese
we agree
movies
he
and
was
all that
good in
kind of
Rogue
stuff.
One.
He's good in Rogue One
Yes,
because he's got a very limited capacity.
Right.
And he executed his lines very, very well. I was actually very impressed with that. It's just that his acting ability, it just ends up being very, almost a bit too stoic and too unemotional. You know,
Which
almost like
may
if you
work
cast
here.
Kawhi Leonard as like anything,
Yeah.
it would be kind of, you know what you're getting at.
Similarly, I'm not sure. I feel like because Ludi Lin, we should also say, was in Aquaman.
Yes, he
as
was.
the like messed up face guy.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I don't know if he can carry a movie. He was good in.
yeah.
I liked him in Power Rangers, and especially
Yes.
that moment where he talks about his love for his mother. Like,
Oh my
that
god,
was
yeah, that was
a great scene.
the only scene where I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I should take you seriously because you actually have one of the arcs that I care the most about.
Yeah. But then in his Black Mirror episode, I was like, wow, thank goodness Palm Clementine is in these scenes. 'Cause
Yeah.
she is really
She's carrying it for you,
She's
buddy.
carrying it for you.
She's carrying
And
that
I
scene.
think again that just comes down to the language barrier because I don't, obviously English is not his first language, so
Right.
there's a bit of clumsiness, and it's the same thing I have with Charlie Hunnam. Not that English isn't his first language, but I hear him working on his accent more than working on the character.
And Sophie Turner.
Not so much in the movie that we're about to talk about, but
Yeah. This movie significantly better.
Yeah,
but
seems like fine.
the-
But
my
yes,
first
I know what
my
you mean.
first issue
Yes.
with Apocalypse was that.
Yes. So there's that element. So it's not just he doesn't know English. It's more when you can tell that the actor is focusing so
Yeah.
hard on an element of
It's
something
tough.
instead of the whole thing. And yeah,
Liam Neeson as well in any like.
well, I mean,
American
he's given
role.
up.
He has given
tried.
up.
He tried, but
I think it's more the studios that's just like, guys, people like you. Let's put you in this
yeah,
role.
because
and
they
we're
should
gonna
have
give you
just done
this.
the
And he's
Arnold
like, fine,
Schwarzenegger
whatever.
thing where it's just like,
Yeah.
this is how he talks. Shut up.
Yeah, just like leave him alone.
And
That's what he does.
yeah, or Gerard Butler in the
Yep.
White House, or not. What are they called? Like the
rom-com?
Olympus Has Fallen, London
Oh.
Has Fallen,
Oh,
where he
right.
like for some reason they're trying to make him American when they don't have to.
Yeah.
and he
What's the
just
point?
has an awkward accent.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is my one thing for Ludi Lin. I don't know what Ross Butler's history with martial arts is, but at least we know Ludi Lin has it.
Yes.
Like he was in Power Rangers. I mean, they didn't really care in the Black Mirror episode, Striking Viper. I guess we can just call it by its name. But at least he's done this in the past, so there's a thing where I know that I can enjoy him in scenes, and he's got
Right.
the history with it and the movement aspect of it. I know that a lot of it can be done with stunt doubles, but
Yes.
when we come back to Iron Fists, you're like, it's better if the actor can pull off certain
100%.
things on camera,
Yeah.
and you don't have to find weird ways to shoot
Yeah.
the fight scenes. Anyway,
Unless Shang-Chi, which the character doesn't have this, has a mask or
no,
something like
right.
that. You can
And
get away
so
with
that's
stuff
the
like
thing.
that. Yeah. Or heavy CGI.
This would have probably been a great Netflix show because there's no
Yep.
suit that they have to worry about and hide. Maybe they should have flipped it so that Iron Fist was in the movies and Shang-Chi was on Netflix.
Right.
Because it seems way more up Netflix's alley. But anyway, the point is, it's in good hands. I like Marvel stuff, obviously.
Right.
And I like those types of movies. Let's see what this turns into. But yeah, that was the update there.
Right.
I'm glad we got that part down. And then we've got Black Widow updates.
Yeah, we've got a couple of casting things for Black Widow, and like a little bit more.
We'll go with the one that I know how to pronounce their name.
Yes.
Ray Winston has been, or Winstone.
Winstone.
I feel like it's still pronounced Winston.
you
but
were
who
very
knows?
confident with that.
Yeah, that
Let's
one.
go with the first one we can pronounce.
Yeah, whatever, man. Ray,
Totally goofed it
old
up.
Ray. He's from The Departed and
Sexy
other-
Beast.
Yes, that's his big. That's
Yep.
with Ben Kingsley. So another Marvel alumni.
Sir Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, sorry,
He's
I got to
got
put some
knighted,
respect
man.
on his name.
Yeah.
He will be in an undisclosed role until the movie comes out. Then the role will be disclosed.
Hell, Hydra.
Yeah, sure. I mean that makes sense. Unless his parts are in
Unless
Civil
the
War
KGB
time where it's
part
like
or something like that.
where it's
Yeah.
like that's not a thing.
Yeah, because what we do have right now is what we're learning more about this plot is that it's going to be half prequel, half set in the gap year between Civil War and Infinity War. So kind of what they were doing, after the team broke up and all that kind of stuff. So that might be
Yeah.
interesting.
So here's the thing.
But-
again, I trust they'll get it right, or
Yeah.
they won't, and I'll just be like, oh, that was forgettable. Because so far they haven't done a movie where I'm like, this fucking sucks. I hate what they're doing. It's
Yeah.
been like either I'm just like, not the best,
Right.
and I just move on with my life.
Yeah.
So that is a possibility, but I don't think they're going to drop the ball completely.
No.
I don't get the idea of forcing the issue of this is in between Civil War and Infinity War because presumably she's just
Yeah.
with Cap and Falcon.
Yeah, and I don't.
Like it didn't seem like they had a lot of like, oh, I'll go off and do my own thing for like a couple months.
No, there was full on team stuff because they even when they got Scarlet Witch and Vision back in Scotland and everything like that.
Yeah,
they
like
had an
those were the
agreement-
two that
yeah.
were breaking off, but they were still together.
Yeah, they were still together, and they were like, "Hey, this is more like a weekend off for you two. Like,
Yeah.
you're coming back after this, and we gotta like fight shit and like get stuff done." So I don't know how much story there is between that time frame because if it was a big deal, you'd think that more of the MCU cast would be involved in that fight.
Yes.
So is it like purely espionage stuff? well, she can't break off into her own because she's a runaway from the government and all that kind of stuff. So what is she doing? What are they doing during that period of time? Laying low. I don't think I want to see that. Really.
Well, we'll see. As I said, what are they? 23 movies in.
Yep.
I
They know what they're doing.
I can say I can
Yeah.
trust them
Yeah.
with a fair amount of confidence.
You're absolutely right. There's been
It just
missteps,
sounds weird.
obviously, but
It sounds weird, but I can trust that they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Like to me, if there was a couple of scenes from that'll like tie in together with something, and then maybe the third act was post Soulstone stuff, maybe that'd be cool. But I don't know. Like if they did announce that, obviously it'd be a huge story giveaway. And I'd much rather be a little bit more surprised during the movie, obviously, for that kind of thing. But we'll see what happens, right?
Another person who will be in it, maybe, who knows what happens. She might get cut. Florence Pugh. I do not know how to pronounce that. Is it Pew? Is it Puff? Who knows? Pug?
I think the P is pronounced like a K. No.
Yeah. So Florence Smith, written Pugh.
Yeah.
Most recently, she was in. Well, recently for me because I just watched on the plane home from where I was, Fighting with My Family. Written and directed by someone we'll be talking about later, Mr. Stephen Merchant, Caliban and Logan.
Yep.
About Paige from wrestling.
The WWE.
Yes.
Yep.
Diva, is she a diva? Is that a thing?
She's.
she's
I don't know if
she's
they're
not
called
wrestling now.
divas anymore.
But I feel like the movie ended on her having to fight the top diva and then become the top diva.
Yes,
And
because-
whether or not she stayed there, I don't know.
I don't know.
I
From
only
a
have the
wrestling
movie.
standpoint, the term divas, I think it's been
done.
phased out
Yeah,
because
fair.
it's just because they don't have the divas belt anymore, which is good. They have just the women's champion.
Okay.
And that's good. And like the women's wrestling division is actually legit getting like really, really good right now. So that's
Yes,
like
I
awesome.
have heard that.
And the WrestleMania main event was a women's match, so that was really, really cool. Yeah,
And-
that's right. Ben loves wrestling.
Yes, that
it's a
is true.
lot of fun to watch.
The director of Hereditary's follow-up, Midsummer, she looks to be the female lead in that.
Yes.
And that movie at first tricked me because it's like, oh, it's out in the sun. What could possibly go wrong? And then I saw a follow-up trailer. I was like, I will be scared shitless if I see this movie.
That's so funny.
But yeah, I think I'm going to see that. But anyway, that's Florence Smith,
Yep.
written Pugh.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce that name.
Yeah.
And anytime I looked up an interview where you think the person would interview her, it just starts with, I'm very happy to be here with you. And I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah, I
Say
hate
her
that
name.
too. I'm like, I hate because that's my move as an interviewer. It's like, so hey, champ. How
you doing, slugger?
Yeah, if I can't get someone's name pronunciation, I actually either address it awkwardly, like, am I getting that right? Which I think is less awkward and more respectful.
Yeah.
But like in a situation with that kind of name, I'd be like, I'm gonna take someone else's lead on this. See
Yeah,
how it's
I
done.
would ask the
Yeah.
agent or manager, whoever happened to be like, hey, does she have a preferred way of saying her last name?
Like it's taken me years to pronounce Chitwell, and I can't even say his last name still.
You didn't even say his first name right.
Damn it.
Anyway,
You know how bad I
Chiwetel.
was when I was watching the Milwaukee Raptors series
Oh,
with
yeah.
pronouncing Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Yeah,
I
didn't-
couldn't do it for the longest time until an announcer did it, and I was like, they kept calling him Giannis. I'm like, you guys are just killing me, man. I need to know how to pronounce his name properly.
I mean, he's at one point I heard like, oh, his nickname is Chewy, but then he was like, don't. That's not my nickname.
Yeah.
But
Why?
no, he was just like, yeah, people call me, like people close to me call that like as an insult, like not like that's not like, as an again like lovingly, like it's like
Yeah.
my friends can call me Chewy.
But-
not you, and like I don't actually like it. It's
yeah.
just like those are my childhood friends call me Chewy, but
Right.
that's how I remember. It's Chiwetel, so you have to have the chew in there.
Okay.
So Chiwetel.
Chiwetel. Gotcha.
Anyway,
Damn it. Still, sorry, guys. We've butched
We've
and
butchered.
botched. Sorry, we botched up the most basic names.
yes, we have.
Like, I still can't even say Kevin Feige.
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 Damn it. There you go.
It's just two syllables,
just-
Phi and Gi.
I just was not hooked on phonics as
Yeah.
a kid. That's
I know, but this is just you just got to remember the mnemonic devices, which I don't know that is a mnemonic device, but otherwise it's just Kevin Feige.
fair enough. Anyways, we digress. That is the news there.
All right. let's jump into this.
We're jumping into our main entree.
12 movies.
12
We're gonna
movies.
go worst to best.
Yes,
Just like we did last time. You go, then I go.
Mm-hmm.
What is your number 12?
My number 12, starting off with the worst. Hold on, let me pull up my list right now.
Well, again, we are doing the X-Men movies inclusive of Logan trilogy and Deadpool.
Yes.
2 movies.
I think, to no one's surprise, I think X-Men Origins Wolverine is dead last.
I'm glad you said the full name because I just realized I didn't write down the full names.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's my number 12.
Yeah, it's mine too. So let's just talk about it then.
Yeah, there's so much to say about this movie and so much I don't want to say about the movie, in the sense where I just been taking a page out of your book and not wanting to shit all over things just because it's fun, but or publicly. But I think the biggest botch for this movie was the fact that they mishandled both Deadpool and Gambit in such a bad way.
That is, when I think about it and I'm like, man, am I being too hard? I'm like, no, like that is weird that they took such huge swings on those like fan favorite characters, and they weren't good
because it wasn't
like went out of their way to like make Deadpool not Deadpool, which was weird.
It was so weird because it was just like, it's not one of those clever things where it's like, oh, you wrote the Mandarin in a different way that makes a little bit of sense, but also is removing all those negative stereotype racial connotations from the character.
Or
this
like
was
Bane.
just like, you guys fundamentally misunderstand the fact that Deadpool needs to be able to talk, and you sewed up his mouth. What the hell? Like, you casted Ryan Reynolds in that role, cool, but
to be fair, I still like the first bit, like all of the first stuff, like when he's still on the team.
When he's still on the team,
the beginning,
and not like X-Force stuff.
When he's a kid, it's a bit shaky for me, but whatever. Who cares? But what I'm saying is that whole title sequence where you see him throughout the war is good. And I feel like people say
I did love that title sequence.
They stop liking it after that, but I'm like, no, I like when they're on, like, go to that team to get adamantium. Like, I appreciate that stuff.
That was,
and then after that, I'm kind of
completely forgot about that opening sequence.
Yeah,
that was great.
And fucking Will.i.am and others.
Yeah, that's good
times.
times.
It was good times. I liked it. And then
we rewatched the movie just for that one scene and turned the rest off.
And then the rest of it, I'm kind of like, nah, I don't like this. And a lot of it is, like you have this kind of like, oh, cool, like they're gonna do Gambit and Deadpool, and then you're like, I would rather you just not. Yeah. And also the ending where they try to tie everything in with Professor X saving like Emma Frost, Cyclops, and you're just like
that at all.
Why? Anyway, I think.
Yeah.
If full disclosure here, I think my overall thing will be that I've got a very complicated relationship with these movies because I realize I care in so much as they're part of my childhood.
Yes.
But like I have such lowered expectations for these movies that like I found it hard to be like, you know what really grinds my gears? It's kind of just like, oh, it's just bad. And also they don't try. They don't try to like for a series that seems like they want continuity, or at least to be like have callbacks to things.
Yes,
they really make it hard on themselves.
They don't do the research that they really should.
I don't even know about research so much as like, as I said, it was so weird when it was like Apocalypse and Logan, and they're like, oh yeah, we didn't know that they were using Caliban. I'm like, how? How do you not know that?
Yeah,
how isn't that a thing where someone's just like, you know that Caliban's in this movie, right?
And that's basically what I mean by research. It's like, did the scriptwriter or anyone bother to rewatch the older movies to kind of figure out
the movie that's coming out the same year?
Yeah, like, and it's just like, it's coming out in the same year, dude.
Well, I mean,
like, what the hell?
But yeah,
like it's you can't say it's an alternate timeline because it's in continuity with everything that you're doing. So you're just like totally screwing up a ton of different things. But we'll get to we'll get to the Logan's, movies, Wolverines, and all that kind of stuff. But that's my major issue with Wolverine or X-Men Origins Wolverine is the fact that they mishandled two major characters that I care a lot about. I mean, Deadpool less so than Gambit, and my relationship with Gambit was purely based on the '90s animated series, which, by the way, there's rumors that it's being revived, so that's gonna be exciting. But yeah, so really don't like that.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't like it at all.
And I think that's all I can really say about it. Is I do not like what they did to those characters. In addition to just because complicating
for something that tried to stand on its own as a standalone movie. Away from the universe a little bit more. They relied too much on the characters from their universe by bringing the Professor Xavier stuff in.
All right.
But yeah.
What's your number 11?
Number 11 for me is X-Men Last Stand. X-Men 3.
I feel like we're just gonna have the same list.
We're going to have the
that's
same
mine too.
list. Very, very similar, for sure. What was your issue with it?
It's more just that it's forgettable. Also, I feel like
Yeah.
it's not, and it seems too long. Like, and I think that's because I don't even know how long it is. I could look that up. I could
Right.
do the research, as you say. But like, I just too many things they want to get done. They want to do Dark Phoenix, and then they want to do the. Do you want to be a mutant or no? And
Yep.
they didn't really tie those two things together.
No, they
it's
didn't.
just one thing's happening.
Yeah, it just felt like
At
two
the same
separate movies
time.
at the same time.
So it feels long, and then I guess I can't really blame this movie for it, but the whole idea that it's like they kill Professor X, I feel like you should just commit to that, because then
Yes.
they have that scene at the end where he's like, "Oh, Moira," and you're like, "Oh, so he's back," but then they never explain how or why that happened.
Yep.
Even like in the future movie, so it just seemed like a weird, again, indicative of like what I don't like about these movies, where it's like they're leaving these cliffhangers or they're trying to tell this story over and then just decide like, well, we don't want to deal with that part
Yep.
of it. We don't want to do that. So it just seems like a movie that was really, they threw their hands up in the air and they're just like, whatever. Like, it's the third one. We lost our director. Like, let's just get on with it.
I mean, there were the issues I had with it was the fact that, and I think everyone has the same issue with this movie, is that the fact that they try to make the Phoenix thing a subplot as opposed to the primary role of the movie. And don't get me wrong, the primary story of mutant conversion, of like the treatments and all that kind of stuff, that was worth exploring on its own. I don't
I
think
agree.
they should have had the Dark Phoenix thing, but they had to follow through with it because of the tease at the end of X2. So it was really, really muddled up from that perspective. There's a lot of cool things about this movie in the sense where the
I like
visuals.
Kelsey Grammer's Beast.
Kelsey Grammer's Beast is one of the most memorable things. Like when he was talking to that kid that can like suppress everyone's mutant powers and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. That was a really, really cool scene for me to see because, I mean, obviously in this iteration of it,
Because
he couldn't
like
control
his hand like turns into human, and you see he's kind of like, this is what I wanted.
He's emotional.
All
about
right,
it,
baby.
right? Because in the Days of Future Past storyline, he apparently can control changing into the Beast as much as he wants with that kind of thing. So it's really
Yeah,
weird.
we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I didn't like that. There were things that I did like about this movie a lot. So
One thing I really liked is when like Wolverine goes like berserker in the woods, like
Yep.
he's like trying to break free.
Oh, yeah.
And I that was the moment where I was like, I always liked this version of Wolverine, but like he is great at this role. Like
Yeah.
he is really giving it his all. Good for him. Like that always sticks out to me as like good. I like him in this. But I don't like Angel in this movie. That seems like a useless thing.
Angel was such a weird, useless aspect of this movie. They
guess
keep
there's
trying to
always
fit him
an
in, but
element-
they really don't know
Yeah,
what to do
there's
with him.
Angel and Jubilee really get shit on in these movies.
Jubilee
And
got casted so bad. Like she
Yeah.
was just sidebarred so
Yeah.
bad. But I mean, like to me, Jubilee was never really a character that
in
was
the movies,
worth exploring.
but again,
but
for me,
yes,
it's
in
like
the movies, yeah.
for me, it's like, well, we're doing the TV show, and it seems like
But the only reason I found that I liked her in the TV show was because as a kid watching the TV show and her being a kid, you go through things
yeah,
that from
and
her
Rogue
perspective.
takes that role in this.
And
this
Rogue, yeah, you're right.
movie
Rogue takes that
universe,
role,
but like
right?
to the point that they cast her, you're kind of like, okay, well, do something then.
Yeah. 'Cause
And
her
it
power's
looks
kinda
like
shitty.
Brian Singer likes the cartoon. Like
Right.
a lot of his decisions are made based on the cartoon, other than how to use Jubilee.
Very much so. The other thing I didn't like about this movie was that they did a lot of the this is who I am, this is my power. They did a lot of like that explaining, and I really didn't enjoy that with like every single character.
No, I didn't remember that, but yeah,
I remember that distinctly
Yeah.
because when someone pointed that out to me, I was like, "Oh my god, you're right." They did do that for like every single character. They had to like explain it to the whole audience, which I guess some people that are less familiar with X-Men would have probably appreciated. But at the same time, it's just like, no, just show us, don't tell us.
I think also the fact that Nightcrawler wasn't in it was a big like.
Yeah.
Come on, like he's so great.
He was
in
great in X2.
and then you're just like, so he's just not there.
Yeah, I'm just like, why?
But
whatever.
that's a problem all the movies have.
True.
That is not just The Last Stand.
Yeah. One thing I did like is Vinnie Jones cast as the Juggernaut.
You're like the only one.
That was.
I don't
loved
care.
it.
Like
it
people
was so
really
much
get
fun.
because again, that's that internet meme. I'm the Juggernaut bitch. But
Yeah.
like, I don't get why
love it.
people hate that so much.
I don't know why people care. At that point in time, it's not like he was a major part of the movie.
Yeah, it's not like he
I get,
ruined
like,
the movie.
yeah.
It's just, I guess people thought it was indicative of like, but like, I feel like that's the whole thing with these movies. The fact that like they were like, well, we don't want to use the suits, and they like in the first movie they even make fun of like, what do you want us to do? Run around in a bunch of yellow spandex? Or
Yeah.
whatever? Like the movies made a choice. Like we are not doing it. Like down to the end, they were like, we refuse to do the suits.
Yep.
So at that point, you're like, okay, well then that means something more than like acquiescing to whatever pressure to put I'm the Juggernaut bitch in the movie.
Right.
You're just kind of like, all right. And again, part of my complicated relationship of like, there is an element of me just shrugging everything off, and then another element of me just being like, yeah, but I liked this, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, I did enjoy the few things. Like I actually enjoyed
Killing Cyclops.
killing Cyclops right in the beginning, and the Professor Xavier killing, and not because I like those, not because actually I don't like Cyclops. I think he's a dick, but the idea that there were actually stakes at play here. At
Yes.
the time, it was
In
just
the
like,
moment, it feels
oh
like there's
shit,
stakes,
yeah.
yeah.
But now it's just like, oh,
And I like
You guys
that
keep
Halle
running with
Berry
it.
had more to do with Storm.
yeah.
She's like the leader.
She was definitely had more to do in the role, but my major issue with her was like that debate whether or not I was like with Rogue being like, I heard they can cure us, and it's just there's nothing to cure. I'm like, says the girl, like to the girl that literally can kill someone by touching them. Like that's a power that should be removed. It should be because it's serving no
I mean,
one any purpose, right?
She can. I mean, it's not like she touches you and then you die right away.
No, but it has the potential.
And also, she can just wear gloves.
Yeah.
Which she does.
Like there's one scene in the comics where Wolverine was sent to kill a young boy because that boy was literally like within a 5-kilometer radius or something like that, killing everything.
Yeah.
And Wolverine was sent to kill him because you can't do anything with that life. So it's like that was some crazy stuff. But in this situation, it's like, no, if there's a cure, maybe for Rogue, it might be worth it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I think mostly what that argument or debate shows is that you can't treat groups of people as a monolith. Like
Correct.
all mutants aren't going to have the same opinion on whether or not
Yes.
they want to remove a thing. And
And I did
obviously
enjoy
everyone.
that discussion. Of
yeah.
It, yeah. So
I don't even remember it. I just remember being like, yeah, I guess if I were Rogue, I'd be like, I'm done with this. And she does take it away, right? She gets rid of it.
yeah, she does get rid of it.
And then Magneto really shits on Mystique when she gets her thing taken away from her. And he's kind of like, you're nothing to me now. I'm done
Yeah, and that wasn't even like Mystique's fault. It was like she took the bullet for him.
Yeah.
too, and he was like
just
immediately
meh.
disgusted. Like, no, you're not our kind anymore. You're a normie.
with it.
Whatever.
And then he loses his powers.
Yep.
But they have to use a bunch for him.
Yeah, and then they teased toward the end where
Yeah,
he could do it
because
again.
he's strong. He's
Yeah.
a strong one.
He's a strong guy.
Yeah, and another element. I mean, in the moment, I didn't know that I liked it, but I do ultimately come down on I like this, calling into question how benevolent Professor X is, because it did seem to me out of place in the moment when Wolverine's like, "What did you do to her?" And he's like, well, "I protected her." I'm like, "What the fuck is this dickhead doing? Like,
Yeah.
why is he like that?"
Yeah.
He's supposed to be nice, but I get that was probably the more comic accurate depiction of
Yes.
Professor X in that moment. And I do like when they play with that kind of stuff of like these people who you look up to, like, are they making the right choices?
Right.
And how good are they actually?
Yeah.
Especially when you start realizing what they're keeping from you and why they're keeping it from you.
Yes.
So I like that element.
Yeah, that was
They don't
well
really get
explored in
to-
this. In
I don't know if it's well explored. I just like that they touch on it because
I
then they
guess so,
kind of kill
yeah.
him off and then it's
True.
of no consequence.
Yeah, he had no real consequence toward that. You're right. The next one, number 10,
Yeah, that's you, man.
Dark Phoenix.
Oh, finally we have something different.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix.
Go for it.
For me, it was it. When Simon Kinberg wrote this movie, I'm like, you get redemption. You get a second chance for redemption for X3. And in the interviews, he revealed the things that was wrong with X3 that he learned. So I was genuinely excited for this in the sense where he was like, yeah, it was a mistake to make the Phoenix thing a subplot. So he made it the front and center this time around, which was much better in theory.
Yeah,
And then
sure.
execution-wise, it's like, oh, this is what happened with it. But
Yeah.
Dark Phoenix had so many issues going for it in the sense where the reshoots were so long. It seemed to me that it was supposed to and there was confirmation that it was supposed to be a two-parter, right? That they just didn't get.
I don't know if
do it.
when they started shooting, they were like, "We're doing this in 2 parts." I
Right.
think they ultimately were like, "No, we can do this in one."
Sure. It felt like a movie that should have had a second movie to explore all those different things. This movie also it just pushed to the side a lot of important characters. Like Magneto was ultimately non-essential to this, except for the whole Civil War-y aspect of it, where it's like Team Magneto or Team Xavier kind of thing. Like that's really what it was. But I just don't think he was well written into this.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah,
I would.
there was a lot of
It's
issues.
hard because I understand that this should have had 2 movies, but I feel like if you go into it thinking you can just keep making movies, it's always something you could come back to. Like
Yes.
you don't.
You never
need-
try to actually finish the story.
Yeah, you don't need to. Yeah, that's the nature of it, right? So like, let's say they were never going to get bought up by Marvel, and you can't really make movies being like, well, I guess we're just going to get bought up by Marvel anyway. Like,
Yes.
you would try your best to keep this thing going.
Yeah.
I would have a hard time justifying making it a 2-parter, considering you can just come back next year and keep going. Like
Right.
you could just tell a story,
Sure.
and then have some blowback explored in future movies to actually spread it out
Yep.
instead of trying to like just be like, well, this is it for this, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't have that opportunity, but yeah, I mean, I'll talk about Dark Phoenix when I get to
Yeah.
it, but I agree with you that there's elements of Magneto's not needed, but I guess I'll just stick to that when I start talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, my next one,
What's
my
your
10 is Apocalypse.
Ah.
I really gave it a great ranking on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's just the fun of going to the movies, I guess. That movie is not good.
It's not good.
It is not problematic in like the sense of like politically correct. It's just
Yes.
there's issues with that movie, like that whole Stryker being Mystique at the end of the movie. Wait, was
Yeah.
that Days of Future Past or Apocalypse? Now I don't even remember.
Yeah.
All I remember is like it was supposed to follow up on things that it didn't follow up on.
Yep. It also gave us Apocalypse, and that was not good. I wish they
Yeah,
did
I don't care about
more
Apocalypse.
I love Apocalypse.
Yeah, I don't care.
So crazy.
Again, a lot of shoulder shrugging. I just don't. I don't care. Like, I honestly do not care about Apocalypse. He's not like someone that holds a like special place in my. And when I rewatch the cartoon, he does just kind of appear sometimes, and he's just
Yes,
like,
he does.
Oh, like let's do something bad, and then they like
then he
don't really deal with it.
disappears.
Yeah, so like I wasn't like, oh, what an amazing character. And I think if I read the comics more with Apocalypse, I would feel something for him. But I was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, man. He's just a bad guy that they got to fight.
Right.
And especially when you start doing like the 4 Horsemen stuff,
Yeah.
to me it always feels like that's the thing is you have to fight your friends.
Right.
That's the move. Unfortunately, like who were his horsemen? Storm,
Storm, Archangel,
Magneto, Angel, and
Magneto, and
Psylocke?
Psylocke,
Or was she
yeah.
just in it?
Psylocke's in it. No, Psylocke's. Yeah, she's one of those
What the
characters.
fuck kind of lineup is that?
I
Anyway,
don't know, whatever. They were reaching heavily.
yeah,
I did
it's-
like the writing for that in the sense where it's like, oh yeah, there was this, and then the 4 Horsemen. He's doing his horseman thing. I was like, oh, that's kind of clever. I enjoyed that part when they reference a religion in movies.
I
do
like
stuff
the
like that.
Quicksilver dad stuff.
Yes.
Which went nowhere, but
Yeah, it really
They-
didn't
they
have any
s-
consequences.
they
right?
started something good with that. I
Yeah.
thought that made things interesting.
I will say
I liked Cyclops in
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
I thought he actually looked good. Or not
in
looked
Apocalypse.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
He like they made me be like, oh,
They
I
made
see
him
why
interesting.
I
Yeah.
see why people like Cyclops.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
made him
because-
interested in this. This was the first time. Because
Let me-
Apocalypse is my 9, so I'm like adding on to your stuff.
Yeah. He's that, but like, I think overall, it's just like an underwhelming film. Like,
Yes.
it's not. There's no like real highs to it. You kind of just like, other than that last shot where they're all like in their comic book costumes. I'm like, holy shit! Like, and I think that's why I was like, what a great movie, because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're finally doing it. They got there. They're
Yeah.
gonna like put them in their outfits and
They ended on a really, really great note. I will say that.
Yeah.
In a sense where they have
Like-
that lineup. They like, and it's the lineup that we're familiar with the '90s cartoons. I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be great.
and then they're like, just kidding.
Yeah, and then they really didn't
Um,
fall through. That was one thing that I really did enjoy with the Dark Phoenix aspect of it. Is the aspect of in Apocalypse, Quicksilver was like, yeah, Magneto's my dad, and then he had no scenes together with Magneto here, because I would have been like, are you gonna say something to your dad? Try to hug him real fast and then get back to the fight? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so I was just really glad that, oh, okay, you're sidelined right from the beginning. Cool, awesome.
Yep. Well, we'll get to that. But yeah, Apocalypse overall just doesn't work because I think it comes down to the same issue we had in Origins, where it's like these weird, underwhelming takes on the
Yeah.
characters. Like, you're introducing them. Like, Storm was weird. There's no like
Storm was very weird.
it doesn't help in Dark Phoenix. It doesn't get better per se. They just give her less to say, I guess.
Yes.
So you're just like, okay.
Yep.
But she is like usually like a leader
Yep.
and like very powerful, but
They're
don't really get
really
the-
heavy on pushing the Mystique leader aspect of it.
which is fine.
I
I'm
didn't-
fine. I mean, if you start from First Class, then like it's fine to spin Mystique out the way they
Yes.
do. Like, I understand that she's
Yes.
like a founding member.
Mm-hmm.
She is like opinionated. That makes sense that she's the leader, but like it just feels like, especially in Apocalypse, where Jennifer Lawrence isn't that interested in being there. Like, you could hint at why Storm would become the leader.
Right.
They don't really do that.
Yeah.
And I do feel like we lost something by not focusing enough on the new recruits. Like, they go to the mall, but then they just cut
Yeah.
to back to like the old like Havoc and when he dies, and Quicksilver does his like still cool, but like his same trick he does from Days of Future Past.
Yep.
The whole like slow-mo speedy recovery of people.
Yeah.
That was cool, but I was like, I wouldn't lose that, but I would still focus more on these characters who like
I agree, 'cause-
everyone knows, and like
yeah,
you can
that-
have
that
some
was-
time with them.
Yeah, you're right, because that was essentially at the end of the day, if Fox didn't get bought out, would have been a launching movie for this new cast. And
Yeah.
they didn't, and I don't think X-Men does this very, very well. The whole franchise in general, where they introduce a character, they don't really develop them until the second, third movie, which is so weird because I'm like, this is not a season of television. You don't get the chance to do that. You have
mean, yeah.
the ability to, like, with Psylocke in Apocalypse being introduced, it's like, okay, well, that was a big deal. You made a big deal out of it. She's a cool character.
then they're like,
And not much is happening with her.
Yeah.
Great.
Very
Fantastic.
disappointing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there was some potential going into the movie, and
Yep.
then some potential while you're watching the movie that
Yes.
never really gets paid off.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why it's at my number 10.
Yep. Yep.
Your number 9 is
My number
Apocalypse.
9 is
Have
Apocalypse.
you said all your Apocalypse stuff, or do you have more?
Pretty much. I mean, that's all I really have to say about Apocalypse, as I was expecting so much and I was let down. It looked cool from the concept of, oh, they're bringing an Apocalypse. This is gonna be cool. And then what they did with it was not great. And then I completely forgot about the Moira stuff. I'm like, who are you again? Like, I completely forgot about it.
I like that she was back, but you just reminded me she's in it. I'm not like,
Yeah,
but
right? I'm just like,
I liked Moira from First Class. So
I
it
did
was
like her
nice.
in First Class. She
And
was
I guess she's
relevant.
in Last
Yeah.
Stand, but not really as a character.
Yeah, and I
just as an-
completely forgot about the whole Charles like wiping her mind thing and all that kind of stuff. I just completely forgot about it.
Mhm.
Didn't appreciate that so well.
I'm gonna say I like her stuff from now that you're reminding me about the whole like
Mm.
she has to like. There's this whole thing where he already like lived with what they did
Yeah.
and probably had a thing for her, and then he has to be like, how much of this do I remind her of? Like, I like that aspect, but I don't fully remember it, and I think, like is probably usually the case, a little too much going on because it's dealing with now the like First Class cast with this new cast.
Yep.
So there's not enough time for everyone.
Yep.
And I know people really like when Magneto loses his family, but I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
not into it. I don't like it.
I don't want to see that over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's not great. But yeah, the Magneto stuff works, but it's not great. Anyway, so yeah, that's your number 9, Apocalypse.
Number 9, Apocalypse.
So my number 9 is Dark Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
When I'm first watching the movie, I'm like, this isn't bad at all. Like,
Yeah.
what is everyone so mad about? And I really liked that they, more so than Last Stand, were pushing, like, Professor X might just be an asshole.
Yeah.
And, like, he might need to be stopped.
Yeah, I love that.
He's got this hubris thing going on, and I was like, it's so unfortunate that I know that we're going to have to do the Jessica Chastain villain, Vuk, or whatever, however you pronounce it, V-U-K.
Yeah.
I have a friend named Vuk, so I'm just prone to pronouncing that arrangement as Vuk.
Gotcha.
But in the movie, as I was telling you, like, it's quite clear that they were like, she was probably Lilandra at one point,
Yeah.
or Skrulls. So we'll never have anyone say her name on like their mouth facing the screen. So when they say her name, it's the shot of two people's back of their heads, so they can put in whatever they want.
Yep.
And it's in a different language. So I don't remember I just read what her name was.
Yep.
The Dabari are not needed in this movie whatsoever.
Nope.
This would have been a great movie, now I see why everyone assumed they were to be like, oh, it's too close to Captain Marvel, but I understand why it was like it's more close to Civil War of like this thing that happens that forces people to choose a side. Obviously, it's not as intellectual as Civil War, but I understand how it would be like, well, no, we all have an opinion on this.
Yep.
Some of us go this side, some of us go that side. And I like that would have also forced the people to be like, I'm with Professor X, but is he on the right side of this?
Yeah.
I thought that would have been a great movie to explore that, because then it feels like you're actually dealing with these characters, and then you're not like kind of shifting some of the stuff to the Dabari, who
Yes.
again, it's just a bunch of like
No,
actors,
yeah,
just a bunch of
there's
actors where you're like,
literally
I don't know
no
what
point.
they can do, I don't know what they get. Like
Yeah.
at one point, you're like, oh, the guns don't work. Oh no, you just need like more guns, and then that's not a thing either.
Yep.
So very inconsistent, but again, I'm not gonna judge it on the behind the scenes stuff that we're privy to.
Yeah.
Whatever is on screen,
Yep.
It was weird, and I liked they had that one moment where like Nightcrawler goes full on, like he does basically what he did at the beginning of X2.
Yeah, which is awesome. I love watching that. So cool.
Because I didn't like him in Apocalypse. I forgot to say that. I was just like, oh, what a doo-doo interpretation. But I get it. It was like he's young. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's not as confident as the one.
Yes.
And even that one has issues.
Flaws.
But
Yeah.
like he knows what he's doing in that one.
Yeah.
But I like that. I also thought like Jennifer Lawrence had more to do than I thought she would. I thought they would just
in
kill her. Like,
Dark Phoenix?
yeah, I was just like, oh, like they're really.
They
She's pushing a lot of like what I like about this movie is tied
Yes.
to her. Like,
Yeah.
that she's like, I know you. Like we've known each other since we were kids, and you're fucking bullshit. And I'm gonna call you out on this.
Yep.
And I was
I'm
like,
gonna
oh,
call you
like
out on a ton of different things. And
I was like,
just
oh, like
really
they're
shake up
giving
everything.
her stuff to do. Like
Yeah.
this is nice. And I did kind of like her relationship with Jean Grey to a lesser extent, Storm. But I like that there was like an element, and she brings it up too. There's an element of like female camaraderie on the team.
Yes.
Of being like, like we're the ones that, and someone broke it down like it's not necessarily true that only females helped in that space mission, but they did the brunt of the work. Like that was a big deal.
Yes.
But like I did like that it was like, oh, like this isn't like a sleepwalking performance. Like or at least they wrote her to like have an impact on the story before she dies. It wasn't written as in like whatever, she's gonna die soon.
Yeah. It's just the unfortunate thing is when it comes to her death, because of the way the trailer was cut, yes, it was spoiled. And then two, because we know that this is the last of the franchise, it means nothing going forward. So that to me was just like when I got to that death scene, I'm like, cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Casualty of
Again,
Phoenix.
like even if you knew it was the last movie, I don't know if that like it matters. Like what like characters die. Like it's not like you're like this Logan death means nothing to me because I know it's the end of it.
Yes, that's definitely true too. But there was a lot more sentiment tied with the Logan death. There was
They
more
died
to
pretty
do with
much
it.
the same way.
Yeah, they did.
But
with
I
wood.
like, yeah. I liked that there was an attempt to like make it again. I have no idea why they showed you that she died that seems like a weird choice
In
because
the
you
trailer?
know exactly when it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
There is. Even if there was a rumor she was gonna die, it would be nice to be like, well, who knows? She could die in space. She
Yeah.
could die here.
That's exactly it.
And especially since the way they wrote her,
Yeah.
there is an element of like when she dies, like that's gonna take away a lot of. That's gonna create a vacuum because
Yes.
she's the only one sticking up to. There is no Magneto, so
Yeah.
like she's actually someone who could create a new faction.
Yeah,
And,
that's what I
like,
did like about this movie was the element of like if you leave like absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's what was happening to Professor Xavier. He didn't recognize it, and then
Although I would argue that he's always kind of been a dick. Like if you
Oh, yeah,
if you
he's
go from
always been a
first
dick.
if you go from first class, that's the thing is like it didn't necessarily corrupt so much as like expose his dickish ways.
Yeah,
That whole like he's always been like image obsessed.
Yes.
And like from that first movie, like every time. Okay, I guess I shouldn't get into this because I'll talk about it later. But the Mystique Professor X relationship I really liked in this James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence cast because there was that element of her constantly because he's her big brother essentially, like looking for him to validate her not needing to be the blonde Jennifer Lawrence thing.
Yes.
And him constantly being like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, don't be blue. Like,
Yeah.
do your thing." And that's always been there, and that actually does inform how he feels about like, isn't this great? The president loves us, and we're all gonna look the same way, and we're not gonna look like freaks. We're gonna like have these boring ass blue and yellow costumes, and everyone's gonna love us. And I did like that actually tracked. So there was an element of that. It's just everything I don't like about the movie comes down to like that need to shove in the Dabari. That really runs things off
it felt
the rails.
so forced.
Especially since they can't be who they want to be.
Exactly.
And
And there are many elements of the Dabari, like just Jessica Chastain's role in the whole Jean Grey element storyline was, to me, I'm like, were you even necessary? I mean, like, I don't...
no.
With, like...
the only thing
Baron
she's
Von's-
necessary
yeah.
for is to take the Force away from
Yes.
her, which I'm sure they could have found a different way of dealing with that.
Absolutely.
But, like,
that's the only thing she was necessary for. But it wasn't like a Baron von Zemo thing where you're
no,
like,
she didn't have like some
you're
plan.
actually manipulating
like she's
people
doing
really,
her
really
own
well.
thing the whole movie,
Yeah.
like, and it doesn't factor into anything.
She's just like,
she also could have
have
touched her at any time to take it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why she was like, "Now it's my time."
Yeah.
I was like, you could have did this anytime. So here's what I would say. Another thing I liked, I did like most of the action scenes. I thought there was great camera
Yes.
placement and movement. There was some inventive stuff. It's just anytime it happened, you're like, oh yeah, they're fucking mutants. Why have we been just watching people like talk this whole time?
Yep.
Like they could be doing some way more interesting things.
Correct.
But anyway, the point is, I did like that, and I think that the train sequence was a weird one to end on,
Yeah.
only because that one where they're fighting like out in the middle of the street seemed more interesting. Like,
Yeah.
you can add more people in it, and I was legitimately like, this is fun. Like, I like watching them do all this stuff. It shows they're a team, like the spaceship did, but it's actually like they're fighting instead of like problem solving to get astronauts. It was like there was like a immediacy to it that I really liked, and I thought it was fun because there's like even kind of like changing allegiances throughout it. Whereas the train, you're kind of just like, yeah,
You're all on the same team
it's
now.
it's obviously you're just gonna all work together now, and you're fighting against people we don't really care about because like
Yep.
up until this point they've just been like talking like yeah,
And they're not a
she's
real
pretty crazy,
threat.
isn't she?
Yeah.
We should just get that Dark Phoenix stuff for ourselves.
And then there's other aspects of that like train fight that I really, really didn't like. And there's a lot of things, inconsistencies. Well, not inconsistencies. Things that just didn't make sense. So the first scene where they're like, the Blackbird flying into space. So the thing that bothered me about that, I'm like, so you're telling me that Professor Xavier has more money and resources available than the entire U.S. government? Okay.
Well, I mean,
to develop a Blackbird that can go into space without a jet fueled propeller like a normal space station would need. That was ridiculous to me. Secondly, the whole like, I'm going to save people in space. We're going to make a point of covering Nightcrawler with the helmet with like Quicksilver and all that kind of stuff, duct tape. It really, really funny, sure, whatever. But then Jean can go out in space and not need anything whatsoever. But they're not visually showing you how she's using her power to create a vacuum, like an oxygen bubble that she can protect herself in, like they did in the car crash in the beginning. They didn't show you that at all, so you're left to assume. So you're like, this is dumb.
I would disagree with that, because if you've already pieced together that she can do that, then what's like? Do they need to show you that again?
Yes, I think visually,
disagree.
for the effect standpoint, I think there should have been.
I disagree, because I think there's an element of like hand holding or like just trusting your audience to be able to follow like what is going on.
Fair enough.
They've shown you already she knows how to do that. There's no reason to believe she wouldn't do that again, considering what the stakes are and what she's trying to accomplish.
Which is fair.
So,
but I just didn't like it.
And also, there's so many other things going on out there that I don't know that you could 100% say they didn't have the force around it.
True.
There's a lot of fire explosions going on that
Right.
I would say I think those are weird nitpicks, both of them. Because the whole thing is Beast's like, we shouldn't do this with the Blackbird because it can't do it. And Professor X is constantly pushing Jean to like, no, she'll do it. She'll figure it out. She'll do it. So the whole scene is showing off, that whole sequence is showing off how powerful she really is. Is that his trust in Jean to get them up there and to figure things out once they are there. And that force field thing, like, what the fuck do I care to see that if I already know she can do it? And it's in a situation where she doesn't have to do it by accident. She's like, oh, I'm going to go into this situation to do it.
Right.
I agree with you with the helmet thing. That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
But
it was a stupid thing. But
ultimately, it's not something I remember.
Yeah. See, I wasn't even aware of the fact that Jean was the reason why the Blackbird could get up into space and all that kind of stuff.
I'm not saying they executed well. What I'm saying is that is what I got from that
Fair
situation.
enough.
Is that Professor X hubris pushed them into a situation they shouldn't have been in, which is why all of that stuff makes sense to me that would happen. Is the fact that you can ding, like, why would they be able to go into space with that? And that's all fuel for Mystique to be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you putting us in these situations?
Like that. I did like them pushing that envelope to that degree,
Yeah.
so that discussion between Mystique and Beast was warranted afterwards, and like that the argument between Mystique and Professor Xavier was warranted afterwards.
Yeah,
that I really, really did like. It's like, what the hell are you doing? We're taking bigger and bigger risks, but you're not doing anything.
Yeah, like it wasn't like he was helping the Blackbird go. He's just like, no.
You're just talking to the president the entire time. You're just chilling. You're being like, hey, Houston, this is what's going on.
Yeah.
And then the other aspect of like, she gets to call him out on a ton of things after that, but she's ultimately still did the mission. The other thing I didn't like was in the train fight scene. You're going to tell me that Storm is going to use her electricity, her lightning, to zap people on a train, but none of that. But the train's perfectly insulated inside. Like, what the hell? There's no conductivity from the lightning to the metal. That bothered me so much. It really did.
Fair enough.
Because everyone in that train should have died or like been hit with the electricity, and someone should have said like, hey, don't do that. Use your wind powers instead. Or like snow
Again,
powers.
it's mutants. I would just assume that she knows how to use it so that she doesn't kill everybody.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm to believe that someone can control the elements, I can believe that they control it enough to like know who she wants to hit.
I mean, you raise a good point in the sense where if that was my nitpick, it would have been better applied to the Apocalypse days where they're showing you a cast that's underdeveloped and they're training, and this is supposedly 10 years later. Where they're supposedly fully trained by that point in time.
Because they're the ones that go out. They're not. It's not like he was like, who am I taking on this mission? It's like, no, you guys know what you're doing. You're going out. Cool. So yeah, I
that's fair. Once you bring those elements up, then that's much, much more fair.
Stuff I didn't like. There was something about Jean I didn't like.
There was something about Hank you didn't like, about the controlling thing. When I brought that up, and when we were talking about Kelsey Grammer, you're like, oh, we'll talk about that when we get there.
Oh yeah, it's just stupid that he can control his powers. I thought
so too.
That's part of his.
The whole point of Beast is that he can't control his powers.
He fucked up like he did in First Class,
yes,
and made himself look like the Beast he always thought he was, and that's the problem.
To be able to control it is just like, I'm sorry, to do that without explaining it, and then to not be.
They
able
explained
to,
it in Days of Future Past, but it doesn't matter to me. I just don't like it.
It's dumb.
But
granted,
that
I guess
I didn't
they wanted
like.
to save money on like costume or visuals or whatever.
Yes, I'm sure that's part of it.
Yeah,
got to show off that pretty face.
Yep.
I also didn't. I get it. I get that the whole idea is we need to see that Charles makes bad decisions, but why the hell would Beast not take the shot at Jean when they're like when she's like ruining the neighborhood?
I agree.
It's not a lethal shot. He's just gonna subdue her.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "You're right. Yeah, let's let. She seems like she's being perfectly reasonable right now. Let's wait and see what she does now."
Yeah,
I was just like, "This, write it better. Like, just you didn't have to have it go that way.
Yeah.
It should have been that like he shoots her anyway.
Yes.
And then that's not enough, and then Mystique gets killed. The idea that he would be like, "No, you're right. Yeah, we'll see what happens."
Yep.
I was just like, "No, that makes no sense."
All of it was dumb.
Because I'm assuming that him not taking a shot leads him to feel more guilty about. They don't get into any of this,
Nope.
but like it gives him an element of like I could have done something, and that would propel him to be like, well, I'm not gonna have the same mistake happen twice. I'm gonna kill her,
escalate to the Magneto
and then
stuff.
and going to Magneto.
Yes.
But you still can have that if she kills the love of his life.
Yes.
He can still just be like, well, fuck you. I'm gonna get her.
Yeah.
I want revenge.
Yeah, because that was
it plays out. It seems like it plays out the same way anyway. That he's
Yeah.
just like, well, fuck her. I want to kill her because she killed Mystique.
Yeah.
They didn't even lean into the whole thing. Like he feels a lot more responsible than everyone else.
Yeah, I hated that. I'm just like, I get what you're trying to do here, and maybe one scene would have helped a little bit.
Yeah, the scene is him shooting her,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. I'm just like, what the hell? This is stupid. It just.
Yeah, that I didn't like. I don't even remember the movie now, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think
I watched this on Tuesday, and found out I really enjoy the VIP experience. With
yes,
the
I do
whole
like
couch
VIP.
thing.
I
So,
do like VIP. It's
no kids too. Fantastic.
yes, you better believe it.
Yeah.
So I think that those are my main things. There was a lot of potential there
Yeah, there was a lot of
that
potential.
they did not think. Oh yeah, that's the Jean thing I don't like. At the end of Apocalypse, she beats him by using the Phoenix Force, and then
Yeah.
in this movie she doesn't have it, and she gets it in the movie. And I was like, what the fuck? What? Like it's just one movie in between. It's not even. Why? Why do they always do that?
Yeah.
It's like, nah, don't worry about it. It's new now.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, why I feel like who cares if they did a 2-part or not? They don't care
Yeah,
about these
that's
things.
true. They don't.
I mean, other than at least then it would have been made as a whole and it would have made sense, but it still wouldn't have made sense from the Apocalypse to that movie.
Yeah, because there was that whole scene in Apocalypse, that dream sequence where they allude to the fact that Phoenix is already in her.
Yeah, that's usually how it is. It's dormant.
It's-
she becomes Phoenix, and then she becomes Dark Phoenix. She
Yeah.
doesn't go straight to Dark Phoenix.
It's stupid. That's what I didn't like too. I completely forgot about that the Apocalypse scene where that dream sequence happened. Oh my god.
So weird.
Yeah. It's a nightmare.
I like that. I heard people don't like that Cyclops gets the fuck in this one, but I liked it.
I don't care.
When he was like, if you touch her, I'll fucking kill you. I was like, good.
Yeah.
I like that he's being forceful. That is great.
Yep.
And he's saying it to Magneto, who he knows would fuck him up.
Yep.
I was
Magneto
just-
could just like, hey, we're just gonna manipulate that metal on your face to go into
it
your
is
eyes.
plastic, though.
It is, oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
that
not-
makes sense.
they're
That
not-
makes sense. That Beast. would
They're not
do
dumb.
that.
Yeah, they're not dumb.
Fair enough.
But I was like, no, I like that as a character moment for him. People, that's not like you don't know what he's like because
There's also- yeah.
he's had like little to no influence. This Ty Sheridan version, and even
Yeah.
the James Marsden version had little to no.
Oh,
like,
James
character
Marsden
development.
was just pointless except for scenes where he's being a dick to Wolverine. That's about it. And
To be fair, Wolverine's mostly being a dick to him.
Oh yeah, more Wolverine's being a huge dick,
Yeah.
but we like the
Yeah,
fact
but
that
we
he's
like
doing that.
Wolverine.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I that's what I liked about Apocalypse, that there wasn't the Wolverine dynamic, so that you could just see him as a character,
Yes.
his own thing. This movie is kind of just like he's just, and I heard they
Yeah,
cut
boring.
a lot of his stuff.
yeah,
Because
boring.
a lot of it was his relationship with Jean,
Of course,
which fine, whatever they can. Of
course they should explore
I
that.
don't. You liked it. I don't like that they sidelined Quicksilver. That's such a weird thing to do because it's not even like.
well, I
they
liked it from
killed
the
him, they just were
storytelling
like-
standpoint.
I don't like it.
I liked it because of the fact that it's like, okay, if he got to share a scene with Magneto, that would have to go a certain way, right?
Yeah,
You
and then I
assume-
would like that. And
I
that
would have
be good
wanted that,
storytelling.
but the fact that I'm like, this movie is so burdened with
Like,
nonsense
maybe-
already that I'm like, okay, maybe that was a good
Maybe
thing.
him talking to Magneto gives a more like organic transition for Magneto to be like, no, I guess I don't want to kill her. Like maybe that kind of familial bond can make him be like, oh, I do have stuff in the world. I have this son. I'm not alone like I thought I was.
Well, he had his commune.
Yeah, but like those are people he tells what to do. It's not the same thing. Like he's the boss of them. Like when you're the boss, that you don't feel like, unless you're Michael Scott, you're not like, this is my family. Like we all love each other. Like he's the boss. Like it means something else when you're like, oh, this is my flesh and blood.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I would have to assume so. I don't know. Most people tell me that.
Yeah.
I'm not a breeder, so we'll see. Anyways, so that was Apocalypse. So I guess that's our review of
Dark
Apocalypse.
Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix. That's our review of it. Do you want to quickly rank it before we move on to the next one, though, for Dark Phoenix? Because I think we've run that thing over.
Oh, yeah, out of 10?
Yeah.
Solid 6.
5.
Great.
Yeah.
We did it.
Done. All right, next one. We're on 8. X-Men First Class.
What a fucking... Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not... This is not so much that I didn't like it. It's just that I like the other one so much more. Mm-hmm. X-Men First Class, I like where they were going with it. I like the direction. I liked seeing Magneto and Xavier together, building that team, doing all that kind of stuff. I really did enjoy that movie.
And so this was supposed to be the Magneto origin. There was Wolverine origins. This was supposed to be Magneto. I think they smartly were just like, no, it's just another X-Men movie, but like we can really lean into the Magneto stuff.
Yeah, and I really love the cast for it. There really is not that much of a reason for it to be that low on my list.
There's no reason for it to be this low.
But the thing is, because I like the other one so much more, excluding the continuity side of it. So
fair enough.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, objectively looking at this list that I have in front of me, it should probably be a bit higher, but I'm okay where it is.
People who listen to this podcast might know that stand-up comedian Gavin Stevens was on here to talk about First Class, so he might agree with your placement of this. He really made me feel like it wasn't that good. But then the more distance I had from that episode, I was just like, maybe I just don't like these movies because it's certainly not number 8 for me. Right.
I know it's definitely higher because you love First Class.
I think it's a really well done movie, standalone wise. Yes. Once you start like looking at it in terms of how it fits into everything, you're like, meh.
Yeah, but that could be said about every X-Men movie.
No,
really.
Wolverine Origins sucks all the time. It's not a good standalone movie.
Oh, the origin. Oh, yeah. No, okay, with that exception, but like the rest of okay, never mind.
Yeah. Last Stand is a pretty bad movie too.
Yeah, Last Stand is awful.
Yeah. Anyway, my number 8 is the Wolverine. And like it's fine. I don't think it's great. I think they really go off the rails with Robot Silver Samurai.
Yes. I like that though. I really did like it.
I liked it more than I thought I would. Not Robot Silver Samurai. I liked the movie as a whole more than I thought I would, including that train sequence that they kept pushing.
Yeah.
When it actually happens in the movie, I was like, oh, like this is better than like I was just like, who cares? It's just gonna be a thing. But I was like, no, like this is very fun. Like they really know what they're doing here. That was good.
Yep.
But I think ultimately when it comes to X-Men, I feel like it's such a missed opportunity to try and spin them off and do their own thing.
Yeah.
It's I like that they interact with each other. That's he's not like, I'm not saying because I like Superman, but he's not Superman. He's not Batman. He's like this. The idea is they all come together to form a whole, and that's what I like. So anytime I hear like, oh, we're doing like a Storm solo movie, I'm like, why? Fine.
Yeah.
And again, I know that there's stuff that's interesting there for her to do, but I like the team aspect. It's been sold to me as a team. That's what I like about it is that you never know who's going to walk in the door and like be a part of the thing. So the solo Wolverine movies, spoiler alert, are always going to be lower than I think other people because they want you to be like, oh, this is part of a whole. So I'm like, okay, well then we're watching a side mission here, which is fine, but it's not as fun as it could be. And I feel like they're aware of that because this movie ends with like Magneto and Professor X coming to him and be like, hey, we need you back to go do something. I'm like, yeah, so you knew that. Like, you couldn't just rest on this alone. But yeah, that's kind of my thing. Is the Wolverine is a fine movie, but it would have been. And I guess Jean Grey's in it, but that's annoying. I don't care about his love for Jean Grey. I would never have. I like his rage, and then he fights people, and they have that cool scene where the ninjas are like shooting him with arrows. That's a nice visual.
Yeah.
They really fuck him up in that movie.
Yeah, they really
put him through the ringer.
Yeah, put him through the ringer there. I don't know. I enjoyed that movie a lot. I really did. But because of the fact that I thought it was more consistent for the Wolverine to have a solo movie, because he's always been a solo kind of guy. He always does it. He's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this and this, and he's like, oh, I'm debating whether I'm staying or going, all that kind of stuff. So for him to actually have a couple of side missions, like you said, for him to explore his history, his past, and all that kind of stuff, I really actually enjoyed that quite a bit. And to see the bone claws.
Do they explore his past? I don't think they explore his past in this one.
Don't they?
No.
I thought they do.
In Origins is a big exploration of his past.
Yes, a huge exploration of the past. But
the
idea that he explores his past from the perspective of he's being brought back to an aspect of his past.
Oh, because he saved that guy in World War II.
Exactly. And then to kind of have that. I'm like, that was a cool story.
And that's the Silver Surfer, right? Or
the Silver Samurai. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the Silver Samurai. So I thought that was really, really cool. The bone claws I thought was awesome. It was a lot of fun for me to see.
Another thing that's not explained once you get to Days of Future Past.
Yep,
Like, no, he's got his metal back.
Yeah, they don't explain that. I'm just ignoring that altogether.
Yeah.
But it was fun for me to see the bone claws, because I really enjoyed the bone claws for some reason. Just loved it.
Yeah, great. I am lukewarm on the solo stuff when it comes to X-Men stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
Number 7.
Number 7, Deadpool 2.
All right.
Yep.
Go for it.
Deadpool 2 to me was good, funny, it was all those things, but it's almost like it lost the edge of Deadpool 1 to me a little bit.
Lost the surprise factor.
Yeah, it lost the shock factor.
Yeah.
We knew what we were going to get. We got exactly what we were going to get, and I think that was primarily the complaint, is that maybe you should have done something crazier. To me, to have the X-Force cast, like Terry Crews in it and all that kind of stuff, it was gonna be so much fun, and they killed it off right away, which is a funny joke in itself.
So you're saying you were surprised?
I was
you
surprised.
You didn't get exactly what you thought.
No, I didn't get exactly what I wanted, but out of the character itself was that was like, this movie took some risks in the sense where, okay, let's kill Morena Baccarin right off the bat and everything like that, and his like whole suicidal aspect of it was done in a very Wade Wilson way, and I enjoyed it. It was really, really funny. And when he was trying to integrate himself into the X-Men universe, that was really funny to me.
Yeah.
It just
You're just saying things that make me feel like it's a good movie.
Yeah. I do like that movie. I just didn't like it as much as Deadpool 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just really liked Deadpool 1. I thought they did a lot with a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's fair.
Yeah.
My number 7 is X-Men.
The original.
Yes.
OG.
I haven't rewatched it in so long. I just know it is a solid movie.
Yeah.
You definitely get the team up. That's nice. Rogue is good in it.
Rogue is great in it.
Well, her storyline.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying Anna Paquin's bad. I'm saying I did appreciate her storyline, and I understood that she was replacing Jubilee in terms of the like, this is our end. She's the kid that we can all be like, like, crazy mutants. Wolverine's great in it, obviously.
Yeah.
I like that. Jean Grey good in it? I can't tell.
Jean Grey is okay in it.
I don't know. Toad was in it. That's good.
Yep. There's elements in dialogue of that movie that doesn't, like, if you were to rewatch it, you'd die at the dialogue in that movie.
I think that's my thing, is I wouldn't be able to, like, I have no desire to go sit through it again.
The Halle Berry scene with Toad is just like, what happens to a toad when lightning hits a toad? I'm just like, that's so ridiculous. I love it.
Yeah, I'm not into it. I was thinking about that as soon as I said Toad was in it, but I just liked that Toad was in it.
Yeah.
What's their plan again? They're going to make everyone a mutant?
Yeah. Professor Xavier. I mean, not
Magneto.
Magneto. He uses the Statue of Liberty to amplify this device to turn everyone into a mutant, so everyone's equal, but not.
not great.
I-
But anyway,
Yeah,
it's
I
there.
liked it. I liked it.
I
really
liked the
did
movie.
I liked the movie. It was like, I think the movie did such a good job of world building.
Yes,
It
it
built
did
the
that
world
exactly.
so well. It was great. There were issues I had with it, like the fact that Sabretooth and Wolverine didn't know each other at all. And then you go back and like it's okay for Wolverine not to know who Sabretooth is.
The Sabretooth should know who he
because
is.
of the whole memory loss aspect.
And I like
of
that
why
look
he's
for
coming into it.
Sabretooth better than
Than the Lee Sheepler one.
Lee Schreiber, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Damn.
not laughing at you. I just thought that was
It's
a nice
consistent.
attempt at it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Lee Schreiber, again, performance-wise, obviously Lee Schreiber's better. It's more
Yes.
engaging. He
Yes.
actually does stuff.
The
But-
Sabretooth is
but
literally just a beast.
what's his name? Tyler, man. I can't use my phone because people keep calling, so I turned off my data. But anyway, that look is cool. I wish they kept that look.
I agree. It was more beastly. It was
I was really
definitely
into it.
really, really cool.
Is that all I can say about X-Men? It's fine. Yeah, I think that's why it's kind of middle of the road here. It's just like, this was a good way of setting up the world.
Yep.
And then I just like what they did with that world to a certain degree. Again, I've got a very complicated relationship with these movies. Where
We both do though, because like they're like, with me talking about First Class so low on the list, it makes me want to rearrange it to where I have it right now.
Yeah,
Now that
you
we're
should
exploring
rearrange it.
Yeah, we should.
First Class is way too low. Anyway,
If anything, I would swap it with my Wolverine. I would keep Deadpool too. Actually, yeah,
all right. What's your number 6?
it would be Wolverine. So I would swap X-Men First Class with Wolverine.
That makes more sense to
Yeah.
me.
So I guess X-Men First Class would be my now 6, and
Yeah.
then Wolverine
But-
would be 8. But I talked about Wolverine at
Yeah.
great enough lengths that you guys know how I feel about that movie. What's yours?
You already talked about Wolverine?
Yeah, I
that
piled
was-
onto your stuff.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, I love that whole Japanese angle. I really did. It was really cool to see because it was just like the whole.
Isn't there
cultural-
like that like subplot of him like getting with someone's wife or like
Yes.
fiance?
Yeah. I like
Maybe
the
I
whole.
should rewatch it, but I just don't. I don't care that
Yeah,
much.
you're not gonna like it as much as I do. I like the whole dichotomy of like, you have the Wolverine, who's this like beast, this animal, whatever, and you're trying to put him into Japanese society, where it's just like very, very strict rules and everything has got a place and all that kind of stuff. You're putting him in there, and it just, it doesn't work, and it breaks out into something cool, and it finally does with the whole like the arrow scene and all that kind of stuff. And they really punish him in this movie, and visually it's a great movie. I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for.
Well, it's certainly than I give it credit for.
Yeah.
I think people really like the Wolverine, though.
Yes.
I mean, if you're into these movies,
yeah.
these specific ones.
Yeah.
My number 6 is Deadpool 2.
Mm.
I really like it. I just like the other ones more. Anything I say from now on, I just like them more.
Fair.
But Deadpool 2, everything you said is what I like. I guess I get that people are like, it's weird that they killed off his girlfriend, but she gets to be in the movie for the whole time. It doesn't even really feel...
I don't get
Like
why
they-
it's weird for people. I mean, Wade Wilson's a very self-driven character. Without her dead, you have no story. What's he gonna do? Just be like being a merc? Killing other people,
we
and then
talked
just
about
being with
this.
her having sex.
We talked about this when we did the episode.
Yes.
It's called fridging the girlfriend, and it's a nasty byproduct of like male-driven society
Yes.
that everyone thinks you have to kill the female in it to motivate someone, whereas the turmoil can come from what they were talking about, how he doesn't want to have a kid.
Right.
You don't have to kill her for that to be a conflict. You don't even have to put her in danger. It's just that's what he's fighting with, and then the movie lets him be like, oh, I guess having a kid wouldn't be that bad because he takes on that orphan, and then you can kind of figure it out that way. So, and in general, yes, he always has selfish reasons for wanting to do things, but it could just be that she's like, well, we're breaking up then because you don't want kids or whatever. And then his selfish thing of like, I guess I can prove that I can be with kids is what drives him to be with the kid. And then he comes back. Just like in the first movie, you didn't have to kill her to like, she just wasn't in his life anymore. And it's always him trying to get back to her, both movies, which for different reasons. One is, let me wait it out and then see because I'm too ugly right now.
Right.
And the other one would be, I'm not ready to actually have a family. I'll go back to her when I'm ready to have a family. And I think that is an easier way of getting through that. But I think in my version, you have less screen time for that character. The female character, is her name Vanessa? I never remember.
I can't remember.
But anyway, I think that's it. You don't need to kill the love interest. You don't even need to put them in danger.
Right.
They can be their own thing and do their own thing, because in real life, it's not like what motivates people is just the deaths of loved ones.
True.
You can be motivated by many different things. So you don't always have to put the woman in danger for that to be a thing. So that's what people have a problem with.
Which is a very valid.
I think in this movie it doesn't really operate that way, because she's in the movie more than she would have been, as I said, if she was alive.
Yes.
I feel like because it's constantly him going back, and she's like, "No, you're not ready," and she has stuff to do. It's not just, "Oh, I'm just some ghost" or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's different. But when the writers and filmmakers don't respond with that, then it does make it look like they didn't have the best intentions.
Fair enough.
But I love the X-Force stuff. I love that X-Men cameo where they're all in the room. Like, I thought that was a great payoff to what happened in the second.
They had a great couple of cameos in this too. Like the Brad Pitt cameo, I thought was hilarious.
I'm always sad that there's also a Matt Damon cameo, but he's in there too.
Yeah.
He's such a guy.
Just that dialogue between the characters was hilarious to me. I'm like,
what is that?
funny?
The toilet paper, like wiping your ass thing?
Yeah. How he's like, "Oh yeah, I use a blow dryer on it first, and then like baby wipes, blow dryer, and then like that was hilarious to me."
Yeah, the Brad Pitt one, Matt Damon, Alan Tudyk, obviously, and I don't remember the other ones, but they were there. And I did like Juggernaut. Like that when he's like, "Well, yeah, he can read my mind, but I could kick his ass." So it's like it evens out.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I have the helmet, or whatever. I liked that, and people don't like the kid. I like the kid. I like that it's something for him to do, and like he's got a good story arc of like, Cable needs to kill him because he's gonna kill everyone, but you're also like, I'd be mad too if I were him. Like that was fucked up what happened to him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was into all of that. But as I said, I just like the other movies better.
Yep. Cool.
All right, number 5.
X-Men, the original X-Men. So much nostalgia tied up with this movie. I'm pretty sure if I rewatched it, it would be lower on the list.
As I said, I haven't rewatched it. It might be higher on my list. I was just like, nah, I like the other stuff better.
Yeah. It was just to me, I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be great, because this is one of the first comic book movies that had a team up element to it that I really, really enjoyed. Because that hadn't been really done before. We had like Blade, then we had Spider-Man, we had all that kind of stuff. They had their smaller teams, but that was like, okay, Blade, you had I forget what his name is.
Whistler?
Whistler, yeah. You have Whistler, but it's not exactly a team.
No, that's definitely not a team
level.
thing.
That's like a background.
That is a Batman Alfred situation.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like to see this for the first time, it was like, oh, this really worked well. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. I liked it. They had the same perception of the X-Men that I did as a kid, in the sense where I'm like, I don't care about Cyclops. Don't make it about Cyclops. And that they really didn't do that much with Cyclops, which is fantastic. And then I just liked watching the Wolverine stuff in this movie. It was great.
They definitely made it Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yep.
Which I'm perfectly fine with.
Yep.
Old Canadian. I know he's Australian, but you know what I mean. The character is Canadian. That's my number 5. Logan.
Yeah? Oh.
I will not be bullied into thinking this movie is the best thing ever. It is fine. It is well made.
It is fine.
It's fine. The only reason it's as high is because I feel like people would lose their shit if I put it less than in the top 5.
What? No one's gonna lose it. This is your opinion.
No, people love this movie. It's fine. When I rewatched it with Pauline, I was like, I guess X-23 gets kind of grating sometimes. She does a lot of yelling. Yeah. It's not great to sit through. What works is the Professor X stuff.
Yes.
The relationship he has with Logan, I was just reminded like that right before he dies, where he's like, this was the best night of my life and I don't deserve it, and he feels so bad. All of that stuff is really well done. Yeah. Again, it doesn't even matter that it's the last name. I just prefer the team up stuff. That's what X-Men is about to me. And I felt like it, even when I first saw it just felt like they were missing some opportunities to tie this up nicely. Right. If this was like if this was like, if it started at Wolverine and then they did this one and they did another one, maybe I would like it, but it just felt like, oh, this is how we're ending it. All right.
Right.
Yeah, it's more, I wasn't as enchanted by X-23 this time around. And I was just like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I liked Caliban in it.
Yeah.
He gets fucked up. That was nice.
He
Old
does.
Stephen Merchant. But yeah, I think the movie loses Professor X, and then it loses my interest. But not really. I just, it all seems so inevitable. It's like, okay, fine, he's gonna kill himself because he can't live in this world.
Right.
It works the first time, and then when I rewatch it, I'm just like, do I love this as a whole? No. I like certain aspects of it, and I think they're really strong, and it's a well-made movie. There is no denying that. It does not tickle my fancy, is all I can say. It is not up my alley. It's
Gotcha.
just a very well-made movie.
I'm very curious to see what your number one's going to be.
Everyone knows what it is. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think I know what it is already. Anyways, my 4 is Days of Future Past.
We got another same one.
Oh,
All
really?
right, yeah.
Nice. I love this movie. It's great.
I really hated it on the at the beginning. I was kind of like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. Who cares? It's no first class, but it is really good.
So much better.
I don't
Yeah,
think
you're
it's
not
so-
going to agree with
I
that.
don't think it's so much better.
No.
I think it has its issues, including
does
how
have
like
its issues.
confusing. It feels like it's fixing the timeline, and then it adds its things to like confuse it, and you're just like, why?
Yep.
Why did you add that wrinkle? But I do really like Wolverine being able to interact with both sets.
Yep.
But I think that's where it drops me. It was like, when you think about it, it was like, oh shit, like this is gonna be like before we knew that Infinity War was a thing that could happen. It's like they're really bringing everyone together
Yeah.
for this. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be like the original cast, this new cast. We're adding people like Bishop and stuff, and then you're kind of like, oh, all right. Well, I guess I shouldn't have been that excited.
Right.
And then they have to be like, oh, you want to watch the like 3-hour Rogue cut? I'm like, no, I don't. I don't. I want you to just make the movie,
Right.
and then have that be the movie.
See, I really enjoyed this movie. The Wolverine traveling back in time stuff worked really, really well for me.
Yep.
There was the fights in like the shifting of the timelines constantly to tell the story was great. Like the idea of like,
I just wanted the older people to have more to do.
yeah, that's always gonna be true. I loved watching those fight scenes. I loved the hint that basically he has moved on from the Jean Grey thing and is now with Storm. I like that little nod and the fact that he's like, hey, we're in the fight scene. We're not gonna explore that right now. But there was a lot in here that had a lot of fan service. Bringing back Ellen Page as Kitty Pryde, doing a lot of those different things, watching them right and seeing what the world turns to if the Sentinels were allowed to exist. That was the coolest thing to me in the world, because in the original X-Men trilogy, the Sentinels get explored, but they're really not that big of a threat.
I don't think they get spoilers. Just in Last Stand, they are part of the like danger room.
Oh yeah.
So it's not even that they're explored. They're just kind of like,
Wasn't there a Sentinel in the first one?
no.
There wasn't, right? I might be mixing that up.
You might be thinking of the cartoon where there's Sentinels.
Probably. This movie worked really, really well for me. You got a really good Wolverine aspect of all this.
And Mystique is good in this.
Mystique
I
is
think
good
they
in
did
this.
a good
I
job
think-
of exploring.
Yes.
I guess that's also what I didn't like, is that it ostensibly would have been the movie that makes you be like, oh, that's why Magneto and Mystique are such good friends going forward.
Yes.
And then they don't really deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't know that they have screen time together really after that, unless they do an Apocalypse, but it's not meaningful.
Right. Yeah, it's true. Oh God, there's so much more. This movie was pretty fantastic. I liked
It is
watching
really
all
well
the fight
made.
scenes. Like those fight scenes in the future were awesome to me. The
Also-
fact that she was like jumping, like, here, I'm gonna put you in this
Yes.
dimension. You jump over here.
What's
like,
her
that
name,
was so
Blink?
Cool. Blink, yeah,
Yeah,
that was
Blink
it.
is great.
I like that
I was
sort
really-
of Bishop guy that they were never committed to making him Bishop.
No,
but
I didn't like Bishop. No, they'll get no credit for that.
No?
That was a real letdown. That was
actually, no,
dude,
you're right.
that was
yeah.
fucking bullshit.
I like the parts
what?
of the fight, but they should have done more with
He
it.
did nothing.
Yeah.
He was nothing. It was like I was like I would rather not.
Okay.
Especially because he never comes back.
Yeah, Streak doesn't.
It's not. It's
come
just
back.
never.
He's
I'm like,
throwaway.
this was your chance at Bishop. This was.
I revoke that. Then he's basically a Gambit.
I feel like, I mean, they used Blink's power as well, but like nobody they introduced in that movie was good.
That's true.
Like they amount to nothing. I mean, of the heroes, obviously, is his name Bolivar Trask, the guy who makes Sentinels?
Yes.
That he's good, but like Peter Dinklage.
Being,
but like,
Peter Dinklage's character.
but like of the heroes, you're kind of like, oh. And then Halle Berry certainly had nothing to do, and then she just keep dying.
Yeah, she did very much nothing.
But I think that's because by the time they had to film her stuff, she was pregnant and they couldn't really do anything.
Gotcha.
But also, I heard much like he did on the set of Bohemian Rhapsody, old
Bryan Singer
just didn't show up
was
sometimes.
a bum.
Yeah, he's no good. Just didn't show up sometimes.
Bad
He's-
apple.
Yeah.
Bad seed.
And yet he keeps getting chances. I mean,
does.
now he's not doing Red Sonja, but even after all the stuff that happened, they're like, and he's doing Red Sonja. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why is this a thing?
Why are you?
Now it's the like creator of Transparent, Joel Soloway, so that's good.
Okay.
I'm glad that a female character gets a female director,
Yeah.
like or someone creatively involved, who's and not Bryan Singer, who by all accounts has been shitty since like his second movie.
Yeah, he's not been good. He's not a good storyteller.
No, I mean
And
like a
a bad
person.
person.
No, I'm not speaking about his ability to tell a story or direct. I'm talking about
his ability to tell stories as well as
Well, I mean,
He's a
what
shitty
I'm saying
person.
is usually
He's a
you
shitty
would
person.
you would keep getting work if you were at least a good, like the Adam Sandler thing of everyone agrees that guy's a great guy and that's why he can continue to do what he wants to do.
yes,
You don't have to like his movies, you don't have to think he's a great storyteller
Yes.
or even funny, but he's a nice person that puts his
Correct.
friends in things and that's why he keeps working.
yes,
People don't really like Bryan Singer movies anymore and he's not a good person, so
Yep.
that's what I was trying to illustrate.
gotcha. That's where you're going with that. Yeah, fair enough. But I did enjoy Days of Future Past.
Yes.
Obviously, issues with it, but moving
Well,
on.
again, I'm not talking
was
about the
your,
behind the scenes stuff. It was
yeah.
just like
What was your 4?
No, that was my 4.
Oh yeah. We agreed on that. 3 would be Deadpool, the original one. I liked it a lot, like a lot of people did. It's funny. All those Ajax memes that came out of it.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Very fun movie. They did it. That was definitely like a great. They stuck the landing.
Yep.
Movie.
Absolutely.
It's not my 3, so I'm not really gonna get into it.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there's much to say about that movie. I mean, because it's I really enjoyed it, but like I still haven't rewatched it to this day.
here's what I'm saying. You went on for quite some time about all the good stuff about Deadpool
Yeah.
too, and yet you're like, "Well, not that good."
Well,
and then you're
no,
like,
it's not-
"Deadpool, good."
No, because because this is how I feel about Deadpool and Deadpool 2 is that they're so similar that I feel like everything I've said in Deadpool 2 I've already said about Deadpool 1.
You didn't say anything about Deadpool 1.
Well, I mean, it's the same the things. The jokes land well. The story was well written. The suit is awesome. Blind Al is just like
Yeah,
hilarious.
Blind Al's
That
great.
chemistry between Blind Al and Wade is just great. Yeah, I genuinely love this movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
My number 3 is X2.
Gotcha.
Depending on the day, it's the number 2, but
Yep.
still, it's right now. It's number 3. I think what might kill me is the length of the movie. It
it
gets
is a
a
long
little long,
movie.
but it is some great Wolverine stuff. As
yeah.
I said, at that moment where he stabs the people in the chest, and you're like, again, it's not gory or bloody, but you're just like, well, okay, like he is using his claws. Like
Yep.
this is real now. Like it got real, and like that he's forced to be like kind of like the parental figure as they go along with
Yes.
Iceman and Pyro and stuff. I like all that stuff. We talked about Nightcrawler. He's amazing in it.
Yeah, I love that Nightcrawler.
That's such an amazing opening sequence.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's the element of like they have to work together this time. They're not fighting each other, and obviously Magneto finds a way to screw them over. But it's like that. It's a really well pieced together movie. I just think if I rewatched it now with my sensibilities, I would find some.
Oh, we would nitpick the shit out of this. If I was to rewatch this whole thing, I would nitpick the shit out of it, which is part of the fun.
Yeah,
It's like rewatching Jurassic Park 1 and being like, here's a whole bunch of inconsistencies in your own movie. Good job, buddy.
That's what happens when you make 2 movies in 1 year.
Yep.
Like
You don't get to
repeatedly.
focus on it. Yeah.
He did Jurassic Park and Schindler's List in 1 year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
intense.
That's a lot.
That's kind of his thing, though. He does like these like double headers, and
Yeah.
you're like, why?
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
guess number 2, that is my X2.
Yeah.
X2 is my number 2.
I guess we can just keep talking about. Or you've said everything you have to say.
No, well, I mean, it's
Sorry,
because
Mystique is great in X2 as well.
Mystique is fantastic.
That's the
in
one where
X2.
she gives the finger, she slides away, right?
Yes.
That was. I loved
cool.
it in the. Well, they don't show the finger in the trailer, but
Yeah.
when it happened in the trailer, I was like, fucking sick. And then she does it
Mm-hmm.
in the movie, and I was like, oh, what an added bonus.
Yeah, it was great. Really like the fight scene between Wolverine and Lady Deathstrike, and I like the
Great.
William Stryker stuff.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why I didn't bring that up. I'm a fan of Brian Cox in general, but he is amazing as Stryker, and it was always disappointing that he didn't. I get why.
Yeah.
Of the. I mean, it's the
time.
only time
Yeah.
these movies are interested in what people look like at different times.
Yes.
Is with Stryker, because they're like, no, in '92, Professor X still looks like James McAvoy.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that part was just like, ugh.
But you've got to admit, when it comes to Stryker, they are very cognizant of how he should look.
Yes.
Because
They
it's
were very
Danny
aware of
Houston
that.
in Origins,
Yep.
he's Brian Cox in X2, and he's whatever that kid's name is in the other ones.
Yep. Yeah.
So good for them for having one moment of, or like one consistent continuity with a character. Good for them.
Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that movie. It was just really,
Yeah, I really like
really
looking
well
at
done.
his back. I guess backstory is what I was getting to, but I was going
Right.
to say back past. Getting into his past, like I really like. Again, for me, I understand why Wolverine has his solo movies, but
Yes.
I do find that forcing him to be a part of a family is what creates more interesting things for him to do.
Right.
And you can still do that in his solo movies, but when you know he already has like a family kind of started on the side, you're
Yep.
always like, I kind of want to see like where those relationships are going. Because like in the cartoon, I remember that being like a big deal for me. I was like, how much he was hurt that Morph dies in the first thing, or like
Yeah.
that he cares about Beast, and like that's what's interesting to me. When you start setting up with just new people for all these things, you lose that, and I wish, other than his love for Jean Grey, which is different. I think that's a different thing. That's like
Yep.
his lusting after somebody,
Yes.
but to actually see like what relationships he's formed and kept is what is kind of why I like when you keep him in the team aspect, because that's seeing how this loner is forced to change his ways.
Right. Yeah, no, it's nice to see him commit to it at the end of the movie, where he's just like, because in the original X-Men, you're like, okay, he's with this team because he wants to get to work with Professor Xavier, because he
Yeah,
wants
to
to
learn
get to
about
know
his-
his past and all that kind of stuff. And then at this point, he's fully developed. He's like, no, I'm part of this team now. I don't care about my past. I've got my future to worry about. And just, does the William Stryker thing, which I thought was really, really cool and really fun. There's one thing I didn't talk about from, I forget which one. I think it was Apocalypse. That one throwaway scene, again, at the dam, but they released Wolverine. I keep forgetting about that scene. That's an awesome scene.
Yeah, I like it.
Where he basically goes Wolverine rampage on everyone. I'm like,
And Cyclops like, I hope we never see that guy again.
Yep.
It's like, well, I guess you characters won't.
Yeah.
That's crisis averted.
yeah, that cameo, I forgot to talk
That was
about
good.
that. That's one of the major reasons why that's one of the big redeeming factors in Apocalypse, that one scene. It does a lot of fan service, but whatever.
Yeah. My number 2 is Deadpool. I think it was great at taking a character that we all had an opinion on and what it should be. We saw when it went wrong, and then we're like, there was a big sigh of relief of like, wow,
Yeah.
they got it right.
Yep.
Everything you mentioned about Blind Owl, great stuff.
Yep.
Is it Dopinder? Is that
Dopinder?
his? That's
Yeah.
his taxi driving friend.
Yep.
I love that relationship, and I liked in this movie, anytime they because obviously this was on a smaller budget. It never felt like you're like, wow, they really went cheap for this. It felt
Yeah.
like, oh, he forgot his bullets. Again, obviously it's a plot convenience, but it's like, I have no problem believing that character would forget his bullets. So he's like, so I got to make this last. And then it's like forcing this creativity out of a lack of resources, which
Yes.
I thought was really well executed in the movie. Or like he can call out like, oh, like I'm at the X Mansion. It's just you two. It's almost like they couldn't afford anyone. Like, and then again, I like that it gets paid off in the second one that they were just in a different room. But like, I thought all of that for the first movie really worked well, and it really established a great, and the love story worked. I believe that he wanted, and I like that there was that element of selfishness of like, well, I could see her, but also I'm ugly right now, and I don't want her to see me ugly. So it gave him dimensions, and I liked that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's a really well done movie.
Yeah.
What is your number one?
Logan. I'm doing it. I don't care. I love that movie.
I forgot Logan was still on the table.
Yeah.
I was like, isn't it X2?
I love
You already
that
said
movie
that.
for me. It's
Yeah,
great.
obviously everyone loves Logan.
Yeah. It was. I just like the character study, the slower pace and everything like that. To say goodbye to the character, say goodbye to the actor playing the character. That was so well done. You saw him struggle, and that was so interesting to me because like the aspect of like you forget that Wolverine feels everything that he's getting, and then he just heals on top of that. But this movie, like, it helped remind me of that in the sense where like you forget like in X1 he's like, okay, like the original X-Men, he's like, every time I pull out these claws it hurts. Like you forget that.
I was gonna say
hurts.
I never forgot. I thought this I'm saying the whole like from 2000 until 2017.
Right.
I thought they always did a good job of letting me know he's in pain.
Right.
It's just he heals.
The rage goes on top of it.
Yeah.
It just overrides it. But this
so
time
I would
say
it
was good.
I get why people liked the visual thing of it, but I thought he played it well enough for me to know that there was that pain still there.
Yeah.
Without the visuals of it.
Yeah. I loved Professor Xavier with dementia. That was really, really well acted and really well done. To say goodbye to both those characters is in that way.
Oh yeah, you really got a 2-for-1 in that movie.
You get a 2-for in there. The only issue is because we said bye to Xavier before, it feels less impactful than it obviously the Wolverine does. And
I disagree. I think because these movies aren't worried about continuity. It never felt like, oh, they already played this part already.
Yep.
It felt like, holy shit, like that. Because I could have assumed he was going to die. I didn't think he was going to die that early and that way. Like I was convinced when it happened, like, oh, this is obviously a dream sequence. I'm like, wow, they're really going for it. Like they really just killed him. Like I thought that it actually worked well.
Yeah. I also like the meta references of like the comic books in the actual thing. It's like, oh, this is all made up bullshit and all that kind of stuff. It was really, really fun to see. I liked it.
I still maintain it would have been cool if, what is it, X-24? Whatever the clone is, not.
Oh, X-24, yeah.
Yeah. If they put him in the like Wolverine suit, because it would be like, it would really drive home the point of like, this is bullshit and like fuck up that image of him. Yeah. I thought it would be nice and poetic and create an element of fan service.
I agree that was a missed opportunity. It would have been really, really cool.
It works without it, obviously. People aren't like upset that it didn't happen. I was just was an example
made it
of
better for sure.
That is an example of me being like, those are opportunities to have fan service that also like propel story and like help get to themes that you already wanted to accomplish. Yes. Like it would have been a very cool visual of watching I'm not even going to put it in like quotation marks, but like the real Wolverine, which is the Hugh Jackman we've watched. Yeah.
Versus
like beat up the version of that everyone thought they wanted and everyone thought like would have been cool. I thought that would have been a very cool way of doing it. Yeah. But anyway, he died, so it doesn't matter. He's gone. A lovely time at the movies. My number one is obviously First Class. Yep. Which says a lot since if you listen to that episode with Gavin, I was like, yeah, I guess it's got issues, especially when it comes to how the black characters are treated. Yeah. I'm like, wait, so they're all just bad guys are dead? Not into it. But I did hear that there was an element of they thought they were going to bring back Darwin, even though he died. Like really? That's the whole thing is he just adapted because that's his power. Yeah. But you know, these movies aren't really interested in continuing storylines.
That's true.
And also, it was a different director and creative, like not overall creative team, but like, that always bugged me. And again, I'm just repeating what we said in the Gavin episode that for me, I never bought Kevin Bacon as the real Malcolm X character. It should
True.
have been that Magneto has the opportunity to be like, come with me. And I know there's too many angels in these movies,
Yep.
but Angel, come with me, Zoe Kravitz,
Yep.
because you see how they treat us. Like, because at that point they have no like concept of whether or not people hate them, because people don't even really know that mutants exist.
Yes.
Only in their like brief interactions, and she knows she has to hide her wings, but that's because she's like, they might think I'm crazy.
Right.
Whereas she can, at a certain point in the movie, they know like, oh, fucking humans will murder us, like they will, and they make fun of us or whatever. And then it makes more sense to have Magneto be the person who's like, let's do our thing, because you still at that point don't see Magneto as the complete villain. It is more of that Civil War stuff of like, both sides are right. Like, look what they do to us. We need to stand up for ourselves, and let's give them a chance. Like, people are worth saving. I mean, I probably would go with Magneto on that one, but not to the point of killing them proactively. But we need to stick up for ourselves. We can't just we can't just take this on the cheek.
Defense, for sure.
Yeah, like we can't just take this on the cheek. But
I agree with you.
Everything that happens with, like, I really was like, I liked Michael Fassbender from Inglourious Basterds, but I was just like, wow, he is like all of his Nazi hunting stuff. I was like, this is excellent. Yeah. But I got to have my cake and eat it too, because you build him up like that, and then you get to see him introduced into a team and like have the teamwork. So it really works for me as someone who likes watching team ups happen. And I thought James McAvoy was good. Sorry, not good. He's great as Professor X. It was a difference for me, because I was like so invested in Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, but I thought they did a good job of making this their own thing.
I agree, because like that was one of the things too, like McAvoy said, is like, how do you do a character that's already been done without imitating it and showing it? And I think he did a really, really good job of that. He was very cognizant of the fact that like Patrick Stewart was the perfect Professor Xavier. At that point, and then he had to, because I don't think there are many iterations from a video standpoint. I'm pretty sure there must have been from a comic standpoint. Like, there's a lot of literature that he could have studied about like what young Professor Xavier's like. I definitely don't know young Professor Xavier as well as I do old Professor Xavier. Right. So it's like he had a lot of interesting leeway to work with, but also at the same time not, because you have to. And I thought this was a good job of how you go from James McAvoy, Professor Xavier, to the Patrick Stewart.
Except for they really were like committed to each movie is a different decade. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that to yourselves?
Yeah.
Just
aside from like putting the costume or
I know, but it's like he started in the 60s and then we go to the 90s and he's still James McAvoy. And you're like, we're running out of time here, because in 2000 he's going to look like Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's beside the point. It doesn't matter. And I feel like at one point I was like, how come Mystique looks the way she does? And I'm like, oh, she's a shapeshifter. She can look exactly the same age
to, and it's not going to be a problem
all the time.
Yep.
It will not matter.
Yep.
So that was a silly nitpick on my part. I don't think that ever needs to match up. She can look like she can look like Jennifer Lawrence until she.
I think
dies.
the funny thing is James McAvoy gets picked on a lot for that aging thing, but Michael Fassbender is supposed to look way older too. Like,
I guess I just feel like in Dark
to,
Phoenix he's such a shoehorned in thing that I forgot.
Yeah,
that, like,
exactly. But like to go from that Fassbender Magneto to Sir Patrick Ian McKellen.
Also, I feel like they should have killed Magneto in Dark Phoenix. Like when she's crushing his helmet, like when she's like, "Are you trying to kill me? Let me show you how."
Yeah,
I was like, "You didn't kill him."
You
gave him some cuts.
That bothered me too. It's like you gave. Oh, I thought she stabbed him. I didn't know it cut, because I didn't
like his helmet cut his face up.
Yes, but like,
and then she just threw him out the window.
I didn't the helmet break, and then she used the pieces of the helmet to stab him.
No,
before?
that's what I thought was going to happen.
Oh, that's what I thought.
She just showed him how she could fuck him up, and then I guess that's showing him how. But I feel like it's more effective to just kill him.
I liked seeing that in that movie in Dark Phoenix, Magneto realizing how strong she actually is, because he's so used to being like, "No, I'm the strongest." Ha ha ha! It's only because of my like hubris or my like error of thinking or my arrogance that I usually get defeated or something like that, or that you guys really are trying to put me down or something. It's hilarious.
But yeah, First Class is good. I also really like that it's the first X-Men movie with fuck in it.
Yeah,
it's good times, because I heard the rumor. I was like, "There's no way they're gonna do that," and then the movie happened. I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And then they just kept that going for the next 3 movies. Except for I didn't like it in Days of Future Past. That was weird. when he's like, I'm gonna tell you what you told me. Go fuck yourself. I was like, that's not what he said, and also you're ruining it with your timing.
Wait, who
So
was that? That's not the Wolverine thing. The Wolverine thing is that cameo is like the "Go fuck yourself" cameo.
yeah. So in First Class, he goes, they're like, hi, I'm Eric and I'm Charles, and he's like, go fuck yourself. And then they walk and they're like, okay, we're gone. And then in Days of Future Past, when Wolverine goes to get James McAvoy's help, he's like, I'm gonna tell you what you told me, and he's like, fuck off. Or he just doesn't say go fuck yourself. He says fuck, but something else, and you're like,
I see.
just get the line right.
So this is kind of like how and when I love watching you make fun of the Andrew Garfield version of it, where Ben Parker never says great power comes great responsibility. Like that, whatever he paraphrases, you love to shit on that.
No, I don't.
You don't?
I feel like you're thinking of a different friend.
No, I think I'm thinking of you. Like I
don't care, because I also know that.
No, you get very animated when you.
I don't care about it because I don't think.
I'm remembering this very differently.
I feel like we think from the movies and the TV that that's a Ben Parker line, but it's a Stan Lee line. Stan Lee says it in the comics.
Oh.
So
Didn't realize
to me, it doesn't really. Like, again, I'm sure people will no, in this one he says it in this, but initially that was a Stan Lee line. It wasn't actually attributed to one character. It was a Stan Lee narration of being like, so true believers, like, with great power comes great responsibility, or whatever the hell the line is. I don't even remember because I haven't said it in so long. But I've seen people get really animated about it. I am like, I get it. I get animated about other stuff in those movies, but the not saying with great power thing is fine. I think they get that people know what it is.
Yeah, well, people do. People do.
Yeah.
It's like the origin story that like it's told more than anything else, I think, is the Spider-Man one.
Boom.
Anyways, we're going too far. Anyways, this is our list of the X-Men universe.
Mm-hmm.
So
you want to go through them one more time, or do you think people got it?
Top to bottom or bottom to top?
Bottom to top.
All right. So number 12, and this is my list, so I'm going to rank through it.
Just go for it.
And this is with the change I did mid thing. 12 is X-Men Origins Wolverine. 11, X-Men 3 The Last Stand. 10 is Dark Phoenix. 9 is going to be X-Men Apocalypse. 8 is going to be The Wolverine. 7 is going to be Deadpool 2. 6 is First Class. 5, X-Men, the original. 4, Days of Future Past. 3, Deadpool. 2, X2, and 1, Logan.
Excellent. Well done. And mine is whatever Origins is called. You just said it. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
11 is X-Men The Last Stand. 10 is X-Men Apocalypse. 9 is just Dark Phoenix here, which I think also hurt them. Yeah. 8 is The Wolverine. 7 is X-Men Original Flavor. 6 is Deadpool 2. 5 is Logan. 4 is Days of Future Past. 3 today is X2, but that could change. 2 is Deadpool, and 1 is X-Men First Class.
So boom, there you have it. That's our rating of the X-Men universe, as controlled by Fox.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. You can also find other great podcasts on the That Shelf Network, but like No Budget Nightmares. They got a great theme song, so you'll love that.
Movies
Highly
versus
Logical.
Matrimonies.
That's a thing.
I know you're not going to bring it up. I will.
Bad Gay Movies, Black Hole Films, and other ones. There's other ones. You'll love them. Trust me. Just go to thatshelf.com, click on podcasts. You'll see them. And it's great. And if you want to listen to more episodes of our... Odie, you are going to get a rap on the mouth.
Guest appearance by Odie.
Yeah. But if you want to listen to more episodes of our podcast that aren't on That Shelf, go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten. You'll find my social media coordinates. You'll find Ben's social media coordinates. You can email us at spoiledpodcast@gmail.com if you have other things. And please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Radio Public, Google Play, because it really helps when you do that.
Yeah,
mostly
really
rating. You can also review it. That would be great too.
And say hi. Say what's up.
Talk to us.
Tell us we're wrong. Tell us that
tell us your list.
X-Men Origins should be number 1. Wolverine. Tell us
if anyone said that, I would have loved to have a conversation with them.
I dare you.
I would just figure they don't like the movies.
Yeah, I would just genuinely love if someone did like, no, I actually do like that movie. I'm like, could you tell me why?
No, I'm sure there's people who like it. I'm just saying
Yes.
if you put it
But
over
on top,
if you put it
over
at
everything
number
else.
one, that would be
Yeah.
weird. I'm not
Over
saying
everything
it's
else is
impossible to
what I'm
like
saying.
that movie.
No, I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying over everything
Yeah.
else. Like even over, days like over the second Wolverine movie, The Wolverine. If you put it over the Wolverine, I'm like, please tell me why.
Yeah,
Would love to hear that. Just to understand.
that's your homework for the week.
Yeah.
All right.
Good times. We will be back very, very quickly and soon. Well, sooner
Or
than
same
we
rate.
were. With same
Yeah.
amount of time. Whatever your normal
No, we'll be
expectancy
talking
is.
about Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Far From Home. Next episode.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.